How close is this race going to be? We've seen a really big uptick in social media presence and people supporting Kamala. All of a sudden, Obama weighs in, which is going to be, I tell you, to be honest with you, the ad is cringy, but it will be the shining light for Democrats. We're also going to talk about what was seen in Joe Biden's address. I don't know if it'd be his last address or just his presidential address to the country, but there was something that was very, very shocking there, and we need to talk about. Not only that, we're going to talk about what Trump should be doing, a new strategy, because to me, the dog pile on, yes, Kamala may be all those things, all the negatives, but if you start talking about people's groceries, you start talking about the fact that they're costing more at the gas pumps, the fact that they have no money at the end of the month, I think that will do better. Safety, security, money, energy, I think that's going to do a whole lot better than talking about how bad Kamala is. We're going to jump into all these three things today. Starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe. It's like right here. You need to hit the subscribe button so you always are aware of what's going on. When you push the bell, it allows you to know that every day we're putting out a new video. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. We humbly ask you to do that if you enjoy the content. Now today we're going to be talking about what Trump should be doing, a new strategy, because it seems like these last few days he's kind of faltered a little bit. And it seems like Kamala has got the establishment back, which is what we're going to have to face for the coming months. So therefore we need a new strategy, I think, as conservatives. Now, let's talk about that, but then we're also going to talk about the fact that Obama just came out and he endorsed Kamala. I think he was waiting around to see what was going to happen. Also, with everybody else endorsing, for her to really become the presumptive nominee, which sometimes is, again, it's funny because they push for democracy and not one vote went to Kamala. But I digress. She is the candidate. Obama endorsed her. That pretty much sealed the deal for the DNC. So now, even though, if you go back and watch that video of Kamala taking the phone call and the Obamas are on the line, it's so cringy. This is why I can't stand politicians. It's just so fake and over the top. I just can't handle it. But they will use that, run with that, and it will be the darling of the campaign, and it will be something that they'll use even on social media for the next 2 or 3 weeks to promote her. Now, let's talk about the serious things. First and foremost, let's jump into Joe Biden. If you watch his address the other day, yes, he looked weak. Yes, he didn't look like himself. Yes, he had a bruise. It looked like on his cheek. The man's been in the tendon bed, and I guess whatever medicine he's on is growing about 3 or 4 inches. But anyways, I digress. One thing I wanted you to see, there's been pictures released where he's in front of the camera and then they turn to the side and there's some camera shots of him and his family. Now, here's the thing I want you to pay attention to. If this was just Joe Biden saying, I'm pretty much going to finish up at, November, I'm not running, but it'll go to December, January 1st or whatever it is, January 15th. That's one thing. You know, you're getting to that age of retirement. Everybody knows you're weak and feeble. Even your family sees it. One thing, though, that I thought that people didn't talk about as much is when at the very end, when they start taking these presidential pictures, he's getting hugged by his family as if he was, like, not there. I mean, he was getting hugged as this was the last thing that he could do. Now, remember, he's still got 5 to 6 months to be president. But, I mean, they were hugging, crying, and his family is literally sitting right next to the Resolute desk, like, on pins and needles, making sure that he's okay. Now, it may just be me, but I thought that was very, very unique that they were just sitting there and then kind of at the very end cried and hugged. And if this was a situation where he was resigning, and I think that's what they were doing, they were trying to make it look like he was kind of stepping away and Kamala was going to take the reins without actually Kamala taking the reins. Just in case something goes wrong, they could blame it on Joe. I think that's actually the Democratic plan. Plus, they need those pardons. But it was very unique because it made it look like he was resigning that night, his family being there. So I just thought that was very strange. I thought that was weird. When Ashley Biden hugged him, she was literally crying. When I guess his daughter-in-law and Hunter hugged him, same thing, just tears. And it's like, if he resigned tonight and life was changing, new path, or the fact of, they knew he was getting older and this is kind of the last stage of his life, okay. That makes sense, but he didn't resign. So why all the motions? Is he really sicker than we are being led on? Again, not that I know, I just thought that was very unique. And you know, the speculation of him being very, very ill, terminal, all those things could be true. And you know, the thing about media, if you watch any dystopian films, I laugh because I feel like we're living in Hunger Games or living in a Divergent series sometimes, because we're being led by the quote-unquote capital and we're just being fed all this propaganda, and I feel like all we take in is what they want us to know. And when we don't do our own research or try to dive in a little deeper, it's scary because it's like we just believe it. You know, he's just a loving old man. You know, he's a great grandfather. I mean, that's what we believe, because that's what the narrative tells us, and that's what the media jumps in and says, oh, he's so humble, he's done so much for us. He's still the frail, old, feeble man, but he's still a terrible leader, and actually he's been a career politician that's absolutely done nothing but make his family rich. But the thing that just blew my mind was, why was his family so close? Why were they tearing up? Is he really sick, or is he not? Why are they keeping him on if he's that feeble and weak? Remember, he's not the one doing a lot of the meeting and a lot of the greeting and a lot of the announcements. Kamala was the one that came out with the statement yesterday dealing with the Palestinian situation. It wasn't Joe Biden. Joe Biden did meet with Netanyahu. Again, you can see his height growth right there, but he looked very inept. I mean, he really did. He looked very inept. And so I don't know if that was just saying, okay, that's going to be the kind of the last time Joe talks in front of a, you know, kind of a live feed, even though it wasn't live, but maybe a live feed. Maybe it's the fact that they are looking for a way for him to resign, or maybe they're just looking for the fact that pretty much he will just be there and kind of be just lame duck president for a while. Kamala will handle everything, and then if something goes bad, they can turn around and still blame it on Joe because he's quote-unquote the president and Kamala's not. So I don't know, that was just a little weird from me. Now let's get into the next subject. We've talked about the Democrats, we talked about Kamala, we've talked about Biden, we talked about Obama backing Kamala. Now let's talk about what the conservatives need to do. Here's my thought. This video will never end up in someone's hands that actually matters, probably, when it comes to the conservative movement and the Republicans and how they change their establishment view on this election. But here's what I think. I think the strategy of staying only on Truth Social, I think the strategy of degrading Kamala just because of past life choices, I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to help women, especially suburban women, almost jump to her side and kind of defend her. Stupid, I know. And yes, she may be bad. She may have awful past. But we all kind of have past. So my thought is, why keep nailing on a bad strategy to demoralize her? She's already pretty demoralized by the stances that she takes in the Democratic platform. So let's leave the demagoguery aside. Now, you can throw it out there every once in a while, but that's all the conservative pundits have done lately, is talk about that. What we should do is talk about what it's cost us. What does the Biden-Harris situation cost us? It's cost us more in energy, it's cost us more in gas, cost us more in groceries. The fact that we're looking at several world wars that are going on that could spark off at any second. The fact that we look weak because our dollar has been weakened because of the relationship with Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's the fact that these situations that we put ourselves in with Ukraine and Russia, and how we actually hurt our old dollar because then we started putting all these sanctions against Russia. The fact that we are allowing Iran to get the nuclear capabilities because we released their money and their funds. We need to talk about those things. Talk about policy. Go back to talking about the border. Not because she's the border czar, but talking about the fact of, look at what the border has cost us. Talk about the cities in peril. Talk about the fact that there's nowhere to put all these individuals and we're paying for them. When you start talking about those things, then it will be a pro message again. For the last 3 to 4 weeks prior to Kamala's announcement, Trump was trending up because Biden was trending down. Not counting the attempt, I'm talking about just simply doing better. J.D. Vance, I think it's funny because even though the establishment and all these people are coming against J.D. Vance, it's actually made me like him more. Some of the stances that he's been on. I was not the biggest J.D. Vance fan. I thought he could have done a better choice in VP. But the more that they hate him and alienate him, and the more they try to bring him down, the more I'm like, dang, he actually may be a good fit for VP, especially if you're trying to push against the narrative or VP. Because the people that want him to be changed are people who supported Nikki Haley, people that support Mike Pence, people who wanted Marco Rubio to be VP. So it's like they want to replace him, but they want to replace him with more establishment. So I actually think, even though I was not really fond of JD Vance, I think they could have done better. He may be growing on me, especially because the establishment is so against him. Now here's what I would do. Both of them, see, I don't think they need to just go everywhere together. I think that's a bad move because, you know, Trump is the star and then JD Vance tries to not shine too much, so then it looks like a little weak. So what I would do is JD Vance needs to take his own kind of group, and they need to start heavy rallies by himself with big speakers like, you know, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, maybe even bring in Vivek or someone like that to help build up the narrative. Then I think Trump needs to do the same thing, and I think what Trump should do is bring in the people like Tulsi Gabbard, some of the people that are definitely more in the center that could help him sway the votes away from Kamala. Now also, if I was Trump, even though I would want to swing more conservative, because again, I'm a conservative, but I would actually be talking heavily to RFK, figuring out what I could do. If he stays in the race, I think it could somewhat help Trump, but if he leaves the race and backs Trump, I think, and then, you know, comes a part of Trump's kind of the inner circle, I think it can make a major play at uniting a big chunk of people who just does not want to vote with the liberals, not just Democrats. I'm talking about straight up liberals. So that is my message for Trump. I would say stay away from the demagoguery. Again, Trump doesn't have the best past. I mean, he's had a few marriages that failed. He's been, you know, all this stuff with you know, kind of being the New York Playboy kind of thing. I don't know if I would play on the demagoguery or the devaluing or morals topics. I don't think that works. Yeah, some of the pundits can stay on that element. Let your pundits do that. But if you go back and talk about the things that looked better 3 years ago, that looked better and how you had America 3 years ago. Don't talk about the COVID years. Don't talk about any of that. But to focus on the economy and focus on safety. I think it's great that he's talking about the Iron Dome and securing the border and making a defense for America where it's not about going out and taking over the world, you know, that kind of thing where we got to go save the world. It's literally just saying that we need to protect ourselves. I think it's a good message. Keep that going. Talk about the economy. Talk about Main Street economics. Quit worrying about Wall Street and start talking about Main Street economics. Talk about what has hurt people, what has helped people, and I think that's what will grow and help you. Demoralizing this woman, even though she probably deserves it, is not going to help. And I think we need to change strategies. Guys, give me your thoughts on these three things. We talk about the fact that Kamala looks strong. I don't believe Kamala is any stronger than she's ever been. I just believe she has the establishment and the system behind her now, which makes her look like, you know, the reincarnated Obama. I mean, it's really what it looks like. And then the fact, of course, what is going on with Biden? Is he sick, or is he just a feeble old man that's going to live out his life and be like Jimmy Carter sitting in a chair at 99 years old? I don't know. Could. I just thought that was very strange that his family was there and they were so emotional. Why were they so emotional? That's something that we should be asking ourselves. And then Trump, we need to do a different strategy. It's just my thoughts. I'm not saying the demagoguery won't work, but if you don't want this race to be tight and you want a landslide, talk about what they've done. Because it's been terrible the last few years. Talk about what they've done, and then talk about what you can do. And I think that's what looks better than a cringy politician just dogging each other out. Guys, give me your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you so much, and I pray that you will have a wonderful day with your family, and don't let all this weight of the world get on you. Love your family, and man, do all you can to be better. Stay prepared, be vigilant, and ultimately lean on Christ. God bless.